Thank you so much for staying with us. And while some youths are strategizing on how the qualities or what qualities to look out for in the nation's leaders, some of their peers in Katsina State have received animal traction packages as part of an empowerment partnership between the state government and the Climate Change Adaptation and Agribusiness Support Program. The beneficiaries were drawn from 17 local government areas of the state. The state government says it also has other transformation plans for agriculture in the state.
Actually, the essence of distributing this work oxen team is to create employment for our youth within the communities we are operating. And each youth is given a cart and a plow and a set of workable to operate as an enterprise, thereby improving his life standard and providing services for land preparation within his community. 50% grant and 50% loan. The essence is so that this thing will be revolving within the community and as such expanding the employment base within the community.
The state government also has come a lot of other programs which can be also support this program, like distribution of these tractors, the hand-pound tailors, and even the state also has another package for this animal traction which will complement this program. The state government also has this extension outfit that will be able to support farmers, you see, with the modern agricultural and technological technologies that will be disseminated to our farmers. So these are some of the programs or the commitment the state government is rendering to this important program.
President Muhammadu Buhari has reacted to the Supreme Court ruling that cleared the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, of all charges of false declaration and money laundering. The President, in a statement, said Senator Saraki's decision to rely on the judicial process in his trial is worth emulating. He explains that the country's judicial system, no matter the challenges it faces, is truly working, and no one should be allowed to undermine or break it. He says, and I quote, "I have seen many instances where individuals and groups seek the destruction of the judicial institution and the foolish thinking of saving their skin. Instead of going through the painstaking process of establishing their innocence, I have seen him take the tortuous path of using the judicial process. He persevered, and in the end, the highest court of the land, the Supreme Court, says he's not guilty as charged." End of quote. The President was reacting to the Supreme Court ruling on Friday, which cleared the Senate President of the false asset declaration brought against him by the federal government. Meanwhile, supporters of the Senate President have been jubilating about the Supreme Court judgment. They sang and danced through the streets of Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, marching to the Emir of Ilorin and the government house as well.
The road leading to the palace of the Emir of Ilorin is overtaken by supporters of the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, most of whom are from his senatorial zone. They are happy about the Supreme Court judgment, which favors their political leader. The jubilant youths were received by the Emir, Ibrahim Sulugambari. The judgment, according to an aide of the Senate President, is a triumph for the rule of law.
It's the demonstration of, the rule of law. You see, there are a lot of politics and politics, but today, the outcome of this, of this case, it shows that we have more confidence in judiciary. So, and everybody here in Kwara State has celebrated. This morning, as early as 10 o'clock, was, going around the town.
From the Emir's palace, the supporters take their celebration march to the government house, with more women expanding the group. The crowd began to cheer as the governor joins their jubilation. However, he spoke in a separate interview, describing the judgment as justice for democracy.
Justice is taking its course, because one of the biggest impediments to driving good democracy is accessing justice. And our hope as a country, if we strengthen the justice system to ensure that people can always get justice, then we'll know that we can do it with impunity. We know we can do it with discipline. and will surely have a developing environment.
What we've been saying all along, that all the evidence they brought to the public, it's all false. Basically, that is just what it's telling us. You can see, just behind us, this is the whole of Ilorin. This is the whole of Kwara. We are jubilating. We're saying our leader is innocent. And basically, if he's innocent, it means they can bring whatever they want to bring on board. We will still be innocent, inshallah.
Supporters believe that the Apex Court judgment will not only relieve their leader, but it will also strengthen the All Progressives Congress, especially at the state level.
In other news, with the memory of the Lagos tanker fire still fresh, tragedy was averted today in Ado-Ekiti, the Ekiti state capital, when a petrol tanker tilted after offloading its content at a petrol station and spilling some in the process. Men of the state fire service swung into action to ensure there was no danger to life where some of the fuel had flowed to. Governor Ayodele Fayose, who immediately visited the scene, warns that businesses must be done complying with standards and safety measures.
Today, many lives will have been consumed because this is a PMS, a tanker containing PMS, and it's flowing down the drains now. And anything could go wrong. So we still want to reiterate our position that in doing business, whatever sort of business you want to do, particularly business with this kind of sensitivity, high-risk business, like the oil and gas, we have to keep to standards and measures.
In the meantime, the Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Oboye Oyeyemi, says reducing auto crashes on Nigerian roads, especially along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, is top priority. He made these comments when he visited Lagos State after the Otedola Bridge tanker incident. He insists that officials of the Corps must be professional in discharging their duties.
We ensure that those vehicles that are not designed to carry 30 tons tankers, we will not be allowed to load. And also all those flatbed trailers that are over 30 years that are becoming nuisance on the road. I've given directives already to Sector Commander. We're going to commence full enforcement. No extension again on this. They have become nuisance on our highways. And it is my responsibility to ensure safety of lives and property. And I'm going to deal decisively on this matter. If it needs to bring in a strong crack team from Abuja to reinforce what is going on in Lagos, we must ensure that all these falling containers, all this broken down old flatbed does not repeat itself. We must ensure sanity prevails on the highway. This is the mandate. And you must be ready for these challenges, the commanding officers. That is why I summoned all of you from Lagos and Ogun that made up this zone. We must all work together. You must get back by the time we finish on all our discussions and rehaul your system. And you put your house in order, and you must face the challenges, we must face the responsibilities given to us, and that we cannot afford to fail.
There is need for all agencies, concerned groups and citizens to be committed to ensuring that illegal refining of petroleum products comes to an end in the Niger Delta region. The former governor of Bayelsa State and the chairman of the Oil and Gas Free Trade Zone, Mr. Timife Silva, explained this when he led a team to a community in Degema local government area of River State. Our correspondent, Emmanuel Ere, reports that the youths of that community have a different opinion.
An unending heap of slug along the riverbanks of the Asian community of Bile in Degema local government area of River State. Perhaps the devastation in the environment says it all. About a community with one of the highest cluster of illegal refineries in the Niger Delta. Many of the youths here heck out to live in this way, creating an even bigger problem as waste from illegal refining of crude takes its toll. That is why former Governor of Bayelsa State is leading a team to the community to rub minds with the people and their leaders on the need to look at the bigger picture towards a lasting solution.
Illegal refining of crude oil. That process is so ineffectual and incompetent that what happens is that a lot of the sludge that is produced is disposed in our environment, into our environment, and that is affecting the life and the health of our source of livelihood itself. Our worry is that in the future, we will begin to see all kinds of diseases, if we are not seeing those diseases already. Cancer is one of those diseases.
But the youths have a different opinion. They think the federal government should do more.
Our youth should be gainfully employed so that it will necessitate us to go back to that illegal activities again.
In the end, everyone agrees that activities of illegal refineries does more harm than good. A green light to the Joint Task Force to continue its destruction of as many refining networks as possible. Nevertheless, the burden is still being placed on the government to come up with a clear-cut and more sustainable way of ending the menace. Emmanuel Erei, Channels Television News.
The African Development Bank wants to quickly light up Africa and has details of that and other stories on Business News.
That's very true, Melinda. Thank you for joining us on Business News. $12 billion, that's the amount the African Development Bank has already announced to invest in Nigeria's energy program and other African countries. The president of the AFDB, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, says that there is need to act immediately on plans to light up and power Africa. According to him, sub-Saharan Africa currently has 14% of the world's population, and it accounts for 4% of global energy investment. Analysts at the AFDB say that several countries, including Ethiopia, Gabon, Ghana, and Kenya, are on track to reaching universal electricity access by 2030. Nigeria and Vietnam have renewed commitment towards boosting trade relations between both countries. At an event in Abuja, the president of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and the Vietnamese Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Liv Dan Vinh, promised to strengthen the existing bilateral ties in the areas of agriculture, infrastructure, and textile.
In 2001, we have signed a trade agreement with Vietnam, and as of 2008, we have also signed an investment agreement. Business has moved on, starting with roughly about $50 million in 2001, and as at last year, our business has gone up to almost $400 million, and about $335 million of import from Nigeria, export from Nigeria.
Vietnam is ready to do business with the member of ECOWAS. Meanwhile, Vietnam exports from ECOWAS as raw material, like raw cashew nut, timber, raw cotton, plastic, and raw material. And in other side, ECOWAS now remain the biggest and important market in Africa. It is a joint effort of the ECOWAS and Vietnam investor. It was established last year to provide jobs and food security and enhance the economic development.
The Nigerian Stock Exchange has announced plans to hold the 22nd Annual African Securities Exchange Association Conference between the 26th and the 27th of November this year in Lagos. Issues surrounding Africa's global competitiveness, emerging technologies and inclusive sustainable growth will all be discussed at the two-day event, which will feature keynote speakers, panelists, policymakers, business leaders and investors from around the world. That's Business News tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawado. It's back to you, Melinda.
Many thanks, Anne. And still to come on the news at 10.